Hey everyone, Sean Paul Ellis here from Saturday Morning Cartoons. Remember, that's morning with a U. Thank you for listening, and before we start today's show, we have to tell you about a special project that we've been working on, and you can check it out right now for free. Myself, SMC co-host Dave Trumbore, and friends of the show Allison Keene and Alex Kazanis have put together a comic for you called Death Jr. What is Death Jr.? Think of it as part Charles Schulz's Peanuts comic strip, South Park, and a lot of morbid humor. We've had a blast with this, and you can read a new comic strip every weekday in January by going to our Twitter, @DeathJuniorComics, on the web, deathjuniorcomics.com, and you can even check out our current Instagram, which has been taken over with Death Jr. this month, at Saturday Morning Cartoons. We hope you enjoy it and share the hell out of it. Pun intended. Hey everyone, Sean and Dave here from Saturday Morning Cartoons. We cannot start this week's show, absolutely cannot start this week's show, until we thank the following people who went to patreon.com to sponsor this show.
Derek Haynes,
Alex Kazanis,
Jack Connolly,
Jonathan Renteria Elye,
Bill Dixon,
the wonderful Melanie Harker,
Dr. Jason Woods,
oh, the fantastic Allison Keene,
the alright Jamal Newman,
the so-so John Helter,
Battle Mat Fitness,
the wonderful David Trumbore,
and the one and only Sean Paul Ellis. Hey, out there, if you guys want to be on this list or just want to know what's coming up next week on the show, check out patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons for more details. And remember, that's morning with a U.
Thank you so much for sponsoring us. Thank you so much for listening. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from the Candy Bar, I'll be your co-host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always and bringing along his super-powered mind, it's Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, bud?
David. I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm feeling great now that we got your super-powered mind taking us through this thing, because otherwise, I just didn't know what I was going to do, to be honest with you.
I'm going to confess, though, sometimes my super-powered mind isn't enough. We need to bring in a second superpowered mind.
Is this more powerful than yours?
This is a more powerful mind. I mean, technically, in terms of
I was waiting for the pullback there.
In terms of schooling, technically, he is a far smarter and advanced mind than mine is.
You really backed off that one.
I just step away from that for 2 seconds. Guys, we have Dr. Jason Woods coming back to the show. Welcome back, Jason.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I put on my Ultralord underwear before I showed up today, so I'm all ready for this.
Luckily, still an audio podcast here at Saturday Morning Cartoons, so unfortunately, listeners at home can't see it, but he is giving us a full frontal view of his Ultralord underwear. Hey, do me a favor and hit the light switch real quick, if you don't mind.
All right,
okay.
Done.
Yeah, there it is. That's the glow-in-the-dark bits I was looking for. Just want to make sure they were
you like that right across the booty?
Yeah, it's great. Oh, that's the booty? You might have a...
Wait, hold on. What's wrong with your things?
There's an Ace Ventura situation going on here. I'm not.
I got a front butt and a back butt.
Oh no, not again! Please, what was the name of that campaign? Charitable campaign?
The front butt back
awareness.
butt charitable campaign.
Front butt awareness. Damn it! We'll have to call Mel Harker. She knows.
Oh my God, guys!
Yikes.
We are talking about the Adventures of Jimmy Neutron.
Saved.
Boy, genius this week. With a couple detours, obviously. This is not going to be the show without a bunch of detours. So, but yeah, God, what a weird show.
Well, so why are we talking Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius? Because it's the next in line for New Year's Nicktoons.
Right.
That's literally the only reason that we decided to talk about this cartoon tonight. It's next in line. And we wanted to bring our buddy Jason on, because it's been a little bit since we've had him on the show. And we figured, if we're talking about a boy genius, we're going to need like a literal genius on the show. So he's going to help us walk through the science of pants and underpants and dolls, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be great.
That sounds like the kind of doctor that Jason is. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
The pants doctor. That's what they call me on all the channels.
My
pants
God.
Doctor. Pants doctor.
Oh boy.
Well, we're going to need one.
Yeah, we're going to need one. If you are not familiar with The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, it is an American computer animated television series created by John A. Davis and Steve Odenkirk. It is a spin-off of the 2001 film Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, which itself was based on the 1998 pilot and 12 3-minute animated shorts shown on Nickelodeon between 1999 and 2001. It originally aired on Nickelodeon for 3 seasons, totaling 63 episodes, beginning in July 2002. The final episode aired in November 2006.
If you would have shown me an image, a trailer, a theme song from the show, I would have been like, that's probably early 2000s. Looking at this animation, I would have been like, that's got to be real late 90s, early 2000s. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But did you guys ever watch this show, Sean?
I was aware of this show, and I maybe had watched 1 or 2 episodes. It was not something that I carved out or made time to watch, no.
Yeah. What about you, Woodsy?
I knew the show existed, but had no clue there was shorts previously and a movie, and then they still thought it was good enough to make a cartoon show.
Ooh, yikes.
That floored me.
Yeah, same. I mean, this was something that I was aware of, but like we talked about in recent episodes, we're all of a similar age, and I think at this point we were all in college. We had all already kind of like gravitated away from the kind of 90s Nicktoons, and this was a wave that didn't really hit us. It was kind of that next generation that's a little bit younger than us. So we are all kind of coming at this thing tonight for the first time. So hold on to your butts. It's going to be a rough ride, I think. But if you're not aware of what this Jimmy Neutron franchise is all about, here we go. Synopsis time. A young boy who happens to be a genius lives in a small town with his family and friends and often gets into crazy adventures with them involving the things he invents. This is a terrible synopsis, but it kind of sums everything up. It's basically just like a kid who's a genius. He invents stuff. Everything gets fucked up. Go ahead, Sean.
It always reminds me, because we've had a couple of these very basic descriptions, even noting back to the first show that we talked about with SpongeBob SquarePants, where the actual Wikipedia article is just so unbelievably basic and concise in terms of what happens. It reminds me, though, of the first time that I sat down to watch Adult Swim and Aqua Teen Hunger Force came on, and I had cable at the time, and I hit the info button on Comcast, and it just read food items that solve crime. And I was like, yeah, that's the show. That's the show. Got it. Done.
But Aqua Teen is such a weird show to try to like sum up in a synopsis. So honestly, the weirder that one line in a TV guideline, the better it is, because it's just like, it's not about anything. This is just complete nonsense. And I think for maybe 1, if not 2 episodes, they actually tried to solve a crime, and the rest of it was just complete batshit insanity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know for this thing though. We only watched 1 episode, so maybe for the other however many episodes there were, that's all that happens. This kid invents something crazy, everything goes haywire, they spend the rest of the episode trying to fix it. At the end, maybe he does not learn a lesson. I feel like that's a pretty good formula for them to follow. It's also a good formula to remind me that I never want to see this show again.
Oh my god, we've had 2 strong opinions out the gate on this. It's not like it's not looking good for you, Jimmy.
Dave.
It's gonna be that kind of episode, I think.
This is not looking good for you, Jimmy.
So we'll give him a fair shake, Jimmy Neutron. We'll give you a fair deal. We're gonna start as we always do with the theme song. So Woodsy, give us your impressions of the theme song, the intro to this show, visually and audibly. What were your thoughts?
I think listening to you guys discuss theme songs, I don't generally pay as much attention to them when I'm just generically watching things, especially before I sort of heard you guys start to pay attention to them. But this one was incredibly generic. Like I couldn't tell you anything about the melody or the words. It was relatively short. I didn't think the visual showed a single thing about what the show was going to be about, except a real jacked up head on a kid who's still living with his parents. Like that was sort of all I got out of the theme song.
I mean, that's about as basic as the synopsis, I guess. So it's pretty good, all things considered. Sean, what about you, bud?
I thought it was interesting because this is definitely a theme song that is just a best of or a clips theme song. I don't think that there was any. It didn't look like, maybe with the exception of the title bump screen, that anything was dedicated animation that they wanted to create for this. So everything is highlights from shows, and from some of these highlights of shows, visually, it's relatively interesting. There looks to be a lot of going into outer space, aliens coming down, weird intergalactic things that are happening, and it's all kind of set in what looks like a small town America in like in the 90s, which kind of cool, kind of interesting to look at it. Let's talk about the music though, to contrast some of these fun visuals that they have. Man, it is like a bad slack rock / surf rock song.
It's definitely surf rock stylings.
I don't understand sometimes with surf rock why they seem annoyed that they're singing surf rock. They just seem so apathetic to what's going on. And I mean I have the lyrics here, and I have to say there's a large cast of characters that we'll get a chance to talk to in a moment. But we get no roll call in this, so with the exception of Jimmy Neutron, we really don't know what we're getting into here.
And his Robo-Dog.
And his Robo-Dog. And these things are all important, and they're all relatively interesting. And so I would have loved some type of a roll call, but it didn't happen. I'd like some kind of setup in terms of understanding, is this something where there is like a bigger evil that Jimmy is fighting, or is it him just kind of fighting his own brain and ideas and inventions that he comes up with, which, spoiler alert, that's 100% who the villain is. It's really Jimmy Neutron versus himself.
His own worst enemy.
Yep. Yeah. I like the fact that the theme song was a little bit self-referential at one point. I thought that was kind of like a fun nod. I'm also kind of curious. I don't know if you guys remember, like in the early 2000s, there was a band that was called Bowling for Soup.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because they did a cover of Iran.
Oh, they also did a cover of
they did a cover of
theme
this,
song.
But one that I actually liked, they did a cover of Iran for, what was that anime? It was like Rowan of the Wildfire.
Okay.
What the heck was that? That was one of the characters in it. But anyway.
Gotcha.
I like that cover. So
Yeah.
I like that band.
Yeah.
Surf rock, I want to ask you real quick though. Like surf rock is weird to me to begin with because it takes kind of like the surfer kind of Beach Boys mentality, which is all very just like chill and hang loose and relaxed. And then they mix it with like a weird like rock punk vibe, which is like the exact opposite of that. It's aggressive and like discordant and all kinds of stuff. So surf rock to me always was kind of in this weird hazy area where it either worked really well or it was just a catastrophic failure. And this is one where it's just kind of generic. This band was actually Man or Astro Man, and it was the lead singer of that after they had disbanded, I believe, wrote and performed the song's name is Brian Causey. So they do have surf rock kind of underpinnings to this, but if he sounds angry, it's probably because he used to do this for a living and then he was no longer doing it, so he was writing it for kids shows.
I really would have loved if Bowling for Soup had just done this intro. It would have been awesome. I would have really enjoyed that.
I actually didn't mind this too much. The theme song was like, it was blissful because it was short. It was fine. It wasn't really memorable at all.
It was 30 seconds.
They saved it. 30 seconds. And part of it is a countdown. 3, 2, 1, got a blast. So that's their little like stinger right there. And then to Sean's point, the visuals, if you look at the YouTube comments under some of these theme songs, and as we know, YouTube comments are always 100% accurate.
Spot on accurate.
And
perfect.
Just the best cut of people out there. If you look at them, they say from the visuals that 90% were actually pulled from the movies, 10% were from the actual TV show. So maybe that goes to show why they just pulled existing material from the movies that they already had. And then you got to see a couple things from like this first episode in there. So it's just, they're probably like, well, this is the only material we have right now. Everything else is in production. So let's just throw this.
And then they never got a better theme song. And so it's like, why are we going to redo the intro?
Why bother? Yeah.
I think it would have been great if they would have pulled in the guy who did the original theme song and they're like, hey, we know that you're not doing this for a living anymore, and we know that you did this and you were completely apathetic about it in the first place, but do you want to come back and do another surf rock song, but like, punch it up a little bit so you don't sound like you're about to shoot yourself?
Yikes. And then he did. Not true. I don't think.
Wait,
possible.
I don't
think. Family-friendly episode of 2018 right here. We're doing it. We're doing it.
No, we're already past it.
It's a little bit of an emo surf rock song, which is strange to me.
Especially for this show, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't fit this show at all. The cool thing about Man or Astro Man was that they were kind of known for their surf rock stylings, their sort of punk aesthetic, but also because they folded in a lot of synth sounds, a lot of like sci-fi terminology, a lot of they used like the sounds that like an Apple II computer or like a certain printer from like the 80s made. You know, they used a lot of this like real world kind of techie effects and sounds and noise and music in their music. So this thing, it was like a diluted, removed version of that. So I can kind of understand why it sounds very apathetic and just like, just give me my paycheck and I'm out of here.
The one lyric that he had where he's like, I'm getting paid for this, right? How much money? And he's doing the negotiation in the middle of the theme song.
Yeah, you have to listen really carefully,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
in there.
Get a really nice pair of headphones. It's not your Apple or your Android headphones aren't going to
Get
cut
your
it.
Sennheisers.
Get a pair of Sennheisers and then just put those on. You'll hear some of the
crank
secret
it.
messaging in the background. It's incredible to hear this.
You can actually hear
negotiation.
them arguing and like throwing chairs around the room. Trying to
Clearly,
add
my
to it.
headphones were not good enough for this. Maybe I would have liked it more if there was like violent negotiations going on in the background. At least would have entertained me.
It added a real sense of like, wow, this is like legit. This is like how Hollywood works. Now, honestly, this to me, and it's not saying much, this was my favorite part of the viewing experience tonight.
Oh no!
It would have been
Fuck.
better if they got the B-52s to do it, or it would have been better if I just watched Dexter's Laboratory instead. But it wasn't.
If they
So here
if
we
they
go.
just been
Yeah.
like, "Hey, Fred Schneider, what are you doing? Watching
Sure.
Jimmy Neutron, enjoying the theme song." Been like,
Would've been
"Yeah, cool,
perfect.
cool."
I'm into this. This is great, and I know who I'm talking about here. This is Jimmy Neutron.
Yep.
Yikes.
Interesting
Any-
fact,
any-
Sean spent 4 hours writing those lyrics today.
That was
Paid
still.
off.
I still had more enjoyment and excitement in my voice delivering that 5 seconds than we got in all 30 seconds of this surf rock theme song.
Jesus, 30 seconds. I had to watch it numerous times.
I
just
watched
to
it a
be
couple
like,
times,
well, I
too.
don't. Yeah. Anything else from the theme
I was
song,
not
guys?
dedicated enough to your show to watch it multiple times. Sorry, guys. One was
I love
enough.
it. Look, I get that you're not dedicated enough to Jimmy Neutron, and I appreciate the fact that because we made you watch that show, you are now not dedicated enough to this show to watch that theme song more than once. Totally acceptable. So nothing else from the theme song. You guys want to move on to probably my least favorite portion of the show tonight, the animation style.
Yeah, let's get it.
I hate it. Woods, what about you?
That makes me feel so much better to hear you say.
Good.
I don't know what it is about the sort of computer animation style that was
Yeah.
semi-frequent. I feel like in this era, it has never. I don't enjoy it. It always looks strange, and I never, with the exception of Reboot, which I feel was like on the earlier edge of sort of that
It was
computer style.
early 90s.
I never enjoyed any of the other computer animations, and like visually, I had a hard time watching this one.
Yeah, 100%. This was done with Maya. This was done with the Maya software, early 2000s, late 90s. And I think they ran it through like a Lightwave 3D renderer. If that means anything to your like techie animation heads out there, that's fine. But like you could look at this and just be like, that was done with Maya, and it looks like shit. And unfortunately,
Aw.
well, it's true though. Go ahead, Woodsy.
Do you guys remember, and I'm totally blanking on the name of this website, sort of, it would have been towards the tail end of college for us, where they would put these cartoon characters on the screen, and you would type in dialogue, and it would sort of make a scene that would talk for you. It
Yeah.
was
Is
just
it
like
a-
very jerky acting. That is so much what this looked like to me. Nothing was smooth. Nothing was like well visualized.
It reminded me, do you remember late night MTV? It was a super hot host, obviously live action, and then they had these two computerized characters where people would call in. Their names were Throg and Neck, by the way. And people would call in, and it was like a weird game that you would play on like your cell phone or your touchtone phone or whatever at home, and you would like compete against these characters on this weird MTV show.
That's a very
remember that?
old. No, that's a very old statement for you to make, where you're watching cable using a touch-tone phone
Yeah,
and MTV.
and MTV. Exactly. No, it was this weird ass late night thing. Anyway, the characters looked like this. This, if you guys have been listening to our show for a while, you probably remember Monster by Mistake
Ooh.
from our Canadian Cartoons Month. This thing was close to Monster by Mistake, and that is an unforgivable curse. Go ahead, Sean.
All right, so I'm going to respectfully disagree with you guys on a
Okay.
couple of these things. One, this is definitely nowhere near the caliber of expertise that Monster by Mistake delivered to us. Monster by Mistake, the key word, gang, being mistake, was awful for numerous reasons. Go back and listen to that episode because I think pretty much the whole animation section of that episode of our show focuses around just how bad it is. In this, at least the eye tracking is somewhat decent.
Yeah.
The characters have some interesting shapes to them. Now, I know that Jason just made the point that nothing felt smooth. I'd actually say that things felt too smooth in this. Everything in this show was rounded in a way that was rounded and like very flowy in a way that was like slightly uncomfortable to me to watch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think if my comparison right now for the 3 shows that we've brought up, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dog show competition, just go 1, 2, best in show. Okay. Like we've got best in show clearly being Jimmy Neutron. I'd say the runner up after that would be Reboot, and I would say followed by what we had with Monster by Mistake. Now I bring this up because
I am shocked, ladies and gentlemen.
You shut your dirty mouth.
Now I bring this up just because I think the thing that Reboot took advantage of that we've talked about a lot is that because they were humanoid, but they were in a computer setting, they were inside of the mainframe, they could get away with a lot of choices and weird skin tones and colors and a lot of the things that they had. I want to say that if we're looking for success in terms of what I'm positing tonight, which is how do we render cartoon humans and are we doing a successful job with it? Out of the 3, I think Jimmy Neutron does the best. Dave?
Yeah, I have a question for the actual medical expert on the panel tonight. If a child or any human being walked in looking like any of the characters from Jimmy Neutron, what would you diagnose them with, and how severe is this allergic
I would
reaction?
be highly concerned that every single one of them had brain tumors that were forcing their heads to be larger than necessary, but also then had been extremely malnourished because their bodies are way too skinny. Their necks don't look like they'll hold their heads up.
The animation doesn't look like they're holding their heads. They're just wobbling, bobbling around everywhere. Huh. All right, I had to get that off my chest. Go ahead, Sean.
I want to say, what is the problem? This is the second week in a row where we've had to talk about adults and different characters that are in a show that have no neck or a lack of neck. What was it about early 2000s Nickelodeon that everybody was like in a room and they're just like, guys, if you're not aware, adults don't have any necks, so don't. Somebody rendered it in Maya. They're just like, these people have to have necks. They're like, get rid of those necks. Just select the entire area and then just delete.
Just
Jason.
uncheck that neck box. Yeah, Jason.
I want to run back to Sean's assessment of the success of the animators here and just point out that I am fairly certain that the 3 of us in Microsoft Paint could make characters that looked more realistic and more enjoyable to watch than this show.
They shut it down though. MS Paint, RIP.
Yeah,
gone. We can't even put that to task.
Oh, fair enough. I just put out something that we can't actually do, so you can never prove me wrong.
Smart man.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
This is why we bring him on the show. He's the brain.
A lot of schooling.
Very smart, Jason.
Smart man.
Nobody can ever call bullshit on us.
No, that's right. I did not like the design of these characters. I'm not a fan. They look like weird root vegetables stacked on top of each other, and I don't like that. It's not like appealing to me. But
good vegetable joke. Good vegetable joke. Good vegetable joke. They're
they do. All of their heads look like the potatoes from Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, they all look like slightly misshapen vegetables just pulled out of the ground and peeled. I mean, I get it if you liked it, if you watched it and you like the design of the characters, they're fine. I think that the interactions are good. The world building is decent. It's definitely a lot richer, a lot more complex than either Monster by Mistake, which was god awful, or Reboot, which was they had limits at the time because it was almost like half a decade earlier, a little earlier.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's just as far as appealing to me visually, it just doesn't do it for me. Go ahead, Sean. Did you have something else?
Oh, I was gonna say, we seem to get into this time and time again just with these character designs. I agree with you. I think the character design for this is not great. It's in some cases a little bit off-putting.
Yeah.
There are moments that really shine through with some characters where I'm just like, oh, I like what you did there. This is an interesting choice. I have not seen this before in another cartoon, and I'm intrigued. But I will say we keep hitting those things where it's like people just look lumpy. I don't know what it is. Ever since we watched Give a Mouse a Christmas Cookie, I'm just seeing like lumpy dog potato people all over the place, and I don't understand what it is that, like, you can't draw a solid line to be able to put a head together, and like
I love the early 2000s animation. Everything could be lumpy without a neck, and people were getting paid for this.
These
I
are
wish we
also-
were old enough to be animating at the time.
these
Yeah,
are unreal expectations for me to live up to in terms
True.
of body sizes. Like, I can't do that. I've been working on my head exercises. I can't get my hair like that.
Gotcha. Or Woodsy.
Can our split off podcast be titled Lumpy Head Potato People?
Of course.
Great.
Got so much
That's
material.
all I wanted.
We-
That's all I wanted in all of life.
Hey, can I
We are
bring
shutting
back
down this podcast, and
can
we're
I bring
starting.
back phrenology?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
acceptable?
yeah. Bring back phrenology,
Sweet.
because that was a
Man, I've
real
been waiting for an excuse to bring that back.
because that was a real precise science. The
It
measurement
was.
of people's heads.
Oh man, and they shut it down. The Illuminati.
What?
I don't know. Whatever. Conspiracy. 9/11.
Yeah, or the fact that it was involved with the eugenics movement. So,
Yeah, it's
one or the other
probably
shut
that.
it down.
Probably that had more to do with it. I think that's the first time we've referenced phrenology on the podcast, so that's a plus.
Man.
Is that not the
Yikes.
first time eugenics has come up? Because otherwise,
No, I don't think it has been.
I-
Unfortunately. Anything else from the animation styling before? And Sean mentioned this about the characters. He had some specific traits from characters that he liked, so I want to kind of get into them and see what worked for him. So, if nothing else from animation, then Sean, buddy, what particular characters stood out for you?
Their teacher, I didn't get
Okay.
her name.
Miss Fowl.
Miss Fowl, that's it. Thank you. Miss Fowl was really interesting, and the character design was pretty classic. Maybe elementary, middle school teacher.
Yeah.
For that time, like, she looks exactly like the old school kind of school marm that you would think of, with just a giant bird nose, and then she continues to kind of make like random like bird like out of nowhere as a part of her dialogue, and I don't know why, but that choice to me, I was entertained by that. There were moments in that
Yeah,
that I
there's
was like,
definitely
oh,
That was a
Yeah.
cool part where they had sort of the design, the name, and the performance all kind of match up together. So that was cute. She's such a minor character though in the broad scheme of things. Like, she was an interesting kind of like color in addition to this episode. But I mean, you really focused on the elementary school kids, right? So we have Jimmy. His full name is James Isaac Neutron.
right.
I liked Isaac Neutron.
I appreciate puns.
I like it. We have Mr. and Mrs. Neutron, Hugh and Judy. So his parents, obviously, they factor in pretty heavily. We have Goddard or Goddard. I think they said Goddard. right?
Goddard, the
Yeah,
dog,
they
As
Goddard.
his,
the robot
his
dog.
Robo dog.
Yeah.
Who's named after a literal rocket scientist for 20th century. We have Cindy Vortex, who is another sort of a friend of Jimmy's, but also kind of like a bit of
Antagonist?
competition. A bit of an
She's like
antagonist.
sassy
She's-
foil.
Yeah, but also Jimmy's kind of a dick. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I don't really blame her for being pissed off at him. And then we have Jimmy's friends, Carl Weezer. You can probably picture what this kid looks like. He's a little roly-poly. We'll talk about him a little
You
bit
can
more.
say it. He's a ginger.
Was he? I couldn't even tell
I
because
think so.
my playback was so bad.
He's shaped like a turnip or fennel.
He's shaped like
a
fennel.
fennel bulb.
He's bulb-shaped. He's bulb-shaped.
He is.
And then we also have Sheen Estevez, which I did not know his name was Sheen. It sounded like Gene the entire time I was
Yeah,
I
watching.
thought
I
it was
agree.
Gene.
Thought it was Gene
But
too.
it's Sheen Estevez, and I'm like, that's such a weird name. But then it clicked. Martin and Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, and he's shaped like a carrot.
Sheen is shaped like a carrot. Yeah,
Sheen is
carrot
shaped
with like
like
a
a
buzz
carrot.
cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, God, do you have any like redeeming qualities for any of these kids? Any of these characters?
Did you have any favorites,
Me?
The dog.
Jason?
The dog,
The
exactly.
dog.
Thank you. Woodsy.
The dog was the only one that I found interesting, and he had a very minor role to play
Yeah.
in this episode. The rest of the characters all felt very archetypal. Like, you have your kind of douchey main character, the foil who plays against him, who actually probably is right more often, and then his really dorky sidekick friends. So I struggled with finding any of the characters particularly interesting.
I thought Carl, some of his like his little foibles and his weird little like mannerisms and quirks and stuff, those were kind of fun. Sheen was weird. He was really a one-note character that really fixated on this doll that we'll talk about. Doll/action figure, if you want to get into that. But honestly, for the most part, there were a couple clever gags and callbacks and moments and scenes throughout the plot, which we can talk about later. But as far as the characters themselves, like I really didn't give two figs about any of them except the dog. I wanted to rescue that dog, get him out of there. Go ahead, Sean.
In addition to the dog, I want to talk about one character that I enjoyed and two characters that I hated.
Okay.
I really liked Sheen Estevez.
Okay.
And I really liked his focus as a character. It felt like a lot of the other characters were in there, as we've kind of talked about, in these archetypal roles where they were either a foil to Jimmy or they were sort of like a crash test dummy for Jimmy.
Yeah.
It felt like Sheen actually had his own personality or like something that he wanted to really focus on, which was this ultra lord action figure that we've been talking about, and just sort of his sheer delight in everything related to that. That was the moment where I was like, oh, I can relate to this character. I've had exciting things that I've collected or that I've done where I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm 100% on board with this. This was a fun character for me. Two characters that I will say that I did not like, borderline hated on this show, and this is so weird that this comes on the heels of the Fairly Odd Parents. These parents are trash. These parents are utter garbage. You know, last week on Fairly Odd Parents, we had a problem where, it felt like the parents weren't involved enough. This felt like they were involved too much and too accepting. And the point that I really want to make is that because both of these shows were out at the same time, there are 3 episodes where Jimmy Neutron crosses over into the Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh, right.
And they do a Timmy and Jimmy power hour, which, let's be honest, that's something that I would drink to as a power hour.
Yeah. Was it like at a PTA meeting?
It should have been. If it wasn't,
parents
fucking mistake.
Absentee.
Branding goof right there. Just Jason, what's up?
Maybe this is the pediatrician in me, but the whole time I watched them, all I could think is they're raising a psychopath who's never been told no in his entire life.
100%.
And he's real smart, and he is the start of every supervillain ever.
Yeah. I'm curious to know if they like had a pet dog and then Jimmy like experimented on him to the point that he just became like a cyborg, and there's like the guts of like a real dog in there somewhere, possibly the skeleton and central nervous system, but I don't know. I want to rescue that dog. I'm very concerned.
I'll be honest with you. Why wouldn't he? He's already experimenting and testing shit like simulations on his friend that we'll talk about in the episode. Of course he's going to experiment on a dog. This is the origin story of a super
Jimmy Neutron serial killer, yeah.
Next season on Dexter.
Yeah, really.
Jason,
this is going to take a little bit of a dark turn, but did you guys watch the Sherlock show with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman?
Yeah.
You remember the episode where they talk about Sherlock's childhood dog dying, whose name was Redbeard, and then it turned out that it was actually his childhood best friend.
Yeah.
And not a dog. Like that actually is sort of what I thought was like maybe Jimmy killed this other best friend and then he resurrected him in the form of a dog, which is real dark.
That's even darker than I was going.
Guys.
I thought it was bad enough that he just turned his real dog into a cyborg dog. But no, you had to put the brain of a child in a cyborg dog body and make him a slave forever.
We are canceling this podcast and we are turning this into a Jimmy Neutron conspiracy theory podcast.
I'm down.
That's all we're doing.
I've never been involved in any other conspiracy theory. I am so excited.
Yeah.
This is great, actually. I would love to see Jimmy Neutron, serial killer, come back as an animated. I'd love to see a mad scientist serial killer. I think that'd be amazing. Dexter was pretty good, but he was just kind of like, I'm just a forensic pathologist guy, and I do blood splatter. And it was like, all right, that's fine. But you're not like making crazy contraptions to like serially kill people, which is what I want to see. What?
I also want to say for you, that was a spot on Michael C. Hall impression that you just did.
Thank you so much. I've been working on it ever since he retired to become a lumberjack. What the fuck was that show? But no, I honestly, like, when you were going to say that 2 of your least favorite people on or characters on this show were the parents, I honestly, Jimmy, I don't like him. Like, we've had this before where your protagonist, your title character, is not likable. He's interesting, but he's not likable. Like, there's nothing. I don't want to see him succeed. I don't really care if he fails. I feel bad for everyone around him. and it's not a character I want to watch for multiple episodes of a cartoon show. Sorry.
Right. Well, let's dig into this episode then,
Sure.
because I think there's a lot of stuff there that's going to support all of our vitriol towards this character and what he does.
What's the name of this episode? This is the episode 1, but I'll remind everybody that it's after the movie and after a series of shorts that were on Nickelodeon. Right. And it's kind of funny that it follows the shorts because the title is
When Pants Attack.
Aha. Fashion humor. Before we get into this, I want to ask you guys a quick question. Do you have any embarrassing pants stories from childhood or school or anything like that?
I definitely do. I remember when I was in elementary school up until 5th grade. I'm almost certain about this, that I wore sweatpants. You know, like you would wear like sweatpants with like the like there'd be like a matching like sweatshirt that would go with it as well.
You know,
the kids would wear
combo.
Yeah, so kids would wear like that sweatshirt sweatpants combo, and I wore that for pretty much like all of elementary school.
It's comfy as hell.
Yeah, but like that was at the point where people were like starting to wear jeans in like 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah, and
it always felt weird to me. So I remember having this conversation with my mom, where you know she was you know, I grew up. My mom raised me, and so it was one of those big things where, you know, having a single mom raising 2 kids at the time, I had to have that awkward conversation with her where I was just like, Mom, I don't want to wear sweatpants anymore. And she was like,
that awkward conversation that every kid goes through.
And she was like, what? And I was like, other kids aren't wearing sweatpants, and I'm always wearing sweatpants, and like they get crap on them and they get dirty, and then like they get worn in, and like my knees were showing in a couple of them, and I was just like, I think I don't want to wear them. I think I want to try jeans. And so we went to a Walmart, and we bought probably 3 pairs of the most hideous jeans that I think I owned in my life. But I was just like, I'm wearing jeans now. This is who I am. And I'll be honest with you, I have never gone back, and I've never purchased another pair of sweatpants.
Congratulations, buddy. So proud of you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure that I was going to be willing to share this story.
Oh, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Well, because my embarrassing pants story occurred within the last year as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah. So I flew to my own wedding, and when I arrived there, I realized that the only pair of jeans that I had brought had a gigantic hole in the crotch. And did not realize
how
this
that even got there. Yeah.
till I was already out to dinner with my bride-to-be and several family members. So had to, as an adult, call and ask a friend to go into my house and get a pair of pants for me and then fly them to me with himself the next day.
That's hilarious. So you just had
I promise I am
a
a functioning adult. I swear.
You take care of the little ones. Yeah, John. I got one still, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. If we're doing modern stories, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a play that was in DC, and it was maybe the second night. It was like a Thursday showing of the play. You know, it was the first weekend. Like the Friday was like our big open, and we did like 2 soft opens on like a Wednesday and a Thursday, and I was on stage, and I was in the middle of doing a scene. It was like the second scene out of like 7, and my pants ripped. These were like pants that had been like altered and mended for me, and I needed them to be like really flexible because I was moving around all the time. And I was a color character because it was set up like a board game, like, you know, when Sorry and you have like the different color pieces, and I was Mr. Brown, and I had these brown pants that like split right down the ass into like my leg, into my quad. And I had to go backstage, and I managed to find gaffing tape that was back there, and I like taped my pants together. But I was like in the middle of a scene, and something happened, and they just went and I just remember being like, this is my life now. I'm doing theater, and my pants rip on stage.
Show must go on.
For like 35 people. This is terrific.
So
Dave, what's your story?
We've had one pair of onstage pant catastrophe. We've had another cross-continental flight of the pants. Mine goes back to a very specific type of jeans. from the 90s that kids may remember out there.
Please tell me they're
Hold on.
Jenkos.
Oh, you son of a bitch. So I'm at my buddy Jesse Pickles' house. That's a real name. It sounds like it could be a
That's
name
a fake
from one
person.
of these Nicktoons.
It's from Rugrats.
Yeah, it's Jesse Pickle from Rugrats. And we're elementary school age. So I think we're like on the jungle gym or whatever and swinging around. And I tried to do like a flip off of the monkey bars. And I landed, and I remember like landing okay, and it was fine. But as I landed, like the belt loop or something in my jeans, something hooked, and it just ripped like the entire seat out of the back of my jeans. So now I've just got like my ass just like hanging in the breeze. I'm just like, well, here we are. So his mom goes in and gets like this. She's like, oh, I've got a spare pair of jeans. You can have a pair of his. That's fine. She brings out the weirdest fucking pair of jeans that I've ever seen. The height was probably like 3 feet or whatever it is, but they had the widest ass legs on them that I had ever seen. And I looked at the tag, and yes, as Woods mentioned, JNCO. And I was just like, Jenko? They're just like, oh yeah, it's so cool. So my ass was walking around in a pair of Jenko jeans because I had ripped the seat of my jeans out. I thought they were cool until I wore them to school later on, which was a multiple faux pas. Like, don't wear your friend's jeans to school, you weirdo. What the hell's wrong with you? And then double weirdo, they were Jenko jeans. And that was very strange.
Got to get those skater flared bell bottoms.
Oh my God, what a terrible.
All the rage.
Did they come with a wallet chain?
He probably still had that, actually. I don't think I would have been able to take the wallet chain home with me. I just love that they were like, no, definitely keep them. I think the mom just wanted to be like, nope, these are yours now. Get them the fuck out of my house. Kid's not wearing these. Why do I bring up pants stories? Why? Because we're talking about pants tonight. Because that apparently is the focus of the first episode of the Jimmy Neutron series. So, Sean, you mentioned this earlier. What is our introduction into this particular episode? Specifically, the interaction between Jimmy and his poor friend Carl.
So they're in the process of kind of walking down the street late at night in some kind of robot contraption.
Sure.
At some point, so they're really trying to stress the boy genius kind of craziness.
It looked
from
like
Jimmy
like
Neutron.
an ATST that they had like cut the head off and were just like walking along on a platform. Yeah.
So he's walking along. We have Carl that's sort of perched up back behind him, and I only bring this up because this is a reoccurring gag where there's a dog that's in the middle of the street that sees this and like acts or mimes like he's having a heart attack, or like he's so crazily shocked and impressed or flabbergasted about what's happening that he just kind of like actually lays over and plays dead.
Yeah.
In a sense. I only bring that up because they'll do it one more time, and just comedy rule of three, guys, just, set up this damn pattern and just execute on it. It's annoying to not see them follow through.
Exactly.
And they had every opportunity to be able to do it in this show. Like, there's no reason that they couldn't have brought him back towards the end and had this and finish out this joke or this bit.
Yeah, there are plenty of things going on that they could have worked that in, but
so we have Carl in the back of this AT-AT crash or AT-AT.
Well, yeah, ATST I'd say, but
yeah. So in the back of this weird vehicle with a crash helmet on, and Jimmy Neutron is explaining to him that Carl is about to test the Neutron catastrophic escape simulation, to which Carl is like, ooh, but like, am I going to get hurt? And like, also this button looks very similar to me. And it's like a crude drawing of him on a spring being shot up into the air. Yeah. So it's a good way to kind of foreshadow and telegraph exactly what's about to happen to Carl. There's no reason to do this. Like, there's no reason to do this other than the fact that as he launches Carl out of this vehicle that they're in, Carl's pants remain in the vehicle, which is a very weird choice to make. That like, you just shot a naked kid into the sky in your neighborhood.
There are a lot of half-naked kids in this episode, by the way.
Which brings the light bulb to Jimmy's head, which is like, oh shit, I forgot to clean up and do my chores. I have pants all over my room. And to me, I was like, that's a weird conceit to set up an episode.
Agreed.
Woodsy,
what you
This
got?
was such a strange start. The only thing I got out of this whole start was Jimmy's going to be a dick to Carl for the entire series.
Yeah.
And also weird problems that they create, because I can't tell you, I personally, when I have gotten shot out of the back of an ATST walking down the street, have never lost my pants.
No, and you've done it 100 times at least.
Dude, at least 100.
At least. You never lost
Part
your
of the
pants.
training.
Yeah. You lost him flying to, well, that's a whole other story that you've already
Yeah,
told. But
very
I mean,
different, very different.
It 100% sets up the fact that Jimmy's a real dick, and he will go to any extent to test his inventions on his poor, unwitting friends, whether they want to go through it or not.
We should just clear this up. This is 100% Jimmy in a series of abusive relationships with other kids.
And with other kids who are maybe not smarter than him in a sense of like they can't invent, ATSTs that launch kids out of their pants. But the fact that, Jimmy gets home and his mom's like, how many times I tell you to pick up your pants and put them away? And you see this like pile of like stinking jeans just like behind him, where there's got to be 1,000 pairs of jeans back behind him.
Yeah, that was my bigger issue. How many pairs of pants have his parents bought him? Like, the only reason this issue exists is because he owns 300 pairs of pants.
Yeah, there's no need for it. And they're all in a stinking pile behind him. So his mom's like, how many times did I tell you to pick up your pants? It was kind of cute because he goes to the Robo Dog, which like cycles through a random replay of how many times his mom has actually said that, which that pulled me in a little bit because I'm like, oh, cool, Robo Dog is going to be neat. No, then you'd like never see him again.
It was
for
the
another
only
20 minutes.
part of the episode that I found entertaining was the fact that his dog could catalog how many times he'd been told to clean up his pants.
Exactly.
You see the dog one more time later in the episode, but it's like it's not even branded as being Goddard the dog. It's just kind of like he's just there, but he's labeled as something else.
Right. It's like just a one-off comment. That's it to like get you to the next scene. Anyway, so at this point, let me ask you guys one question. In the real world, as kids, if your parents told you to pick up your clothes, you probably didn't want to do it, but you have two options. You can pick up your clothes, do what you're told, and be a normal human being, or you can use a nano chip to infuse into your genes to make them self-sentient and pick themselves up and put them away when you're done. Well, I think the choice is pretty obvious, but because this is a silly cartoon show, we obviously have to go with the more ridiculous route. But my point to all this is, Carl is literally the voice of reason and says, why don't you just pick up your pants? Like that's literally, why don't you just pick
It'll take you way less time to just pick up your pants than to invent an entire new pants, like artificial intelligence ecosystem.
Yeah, John.
I don't think it's even setting up or creating a pants ecosystem. I think what he created was a problem for himself and for everybody in this town. And it could have very easily just been like, I always go back to the idea of like, if you do one thing, does it prevent everything else in this show from happening? And if he had just picked up his pants, problem solved. This episode doesn't exist.
Here's the worst part of all that thing. Yeah.
And to me, I'm just like, that's a problem that you created for yourself. That's not a terribly interesting story sometimes.
And here's the biggest sin with that. Just like it's a sin to not complete the rule of 3 if you're going to set up a joke and do it twice. Like, if you do a joke once and it's funny, fine. But then don't do it a second time without that rule of 3. Anyway, a second sin to that is by the end of this episode, he still has that, spoiler alert, still has that same problem just on like a magnified scale. And to me, that's not really funny, but it also doesn't show any kind of like growth in this character. He hasn't learned anything. He hasn't made anything better for anyone. He's just caused catastrophe, and now he's got a whole city full of pants to pick up rather than like the 300 that were in his bedroom. And I get it. We're probably being hypercritical on a cartoon show, but we're just talking like the basics of storytelling, the basics of character development, and the basics of comedy. And they're just not here. It's just ridiculous.
Not a compelling setup at all.
It's not a compelling setup. I want to say that just as we jump further into this, every single joke that was set up in this show, I found myself wondering, this isn't funny, is it? And actually coming on tonight and having this confirmation and watching Dave and Jason both shake their head now.
Steaming at the ears, yeah.
I mean, like this is something that, I mean, you could probably put a Jimmy Neutron fan in a room and he would love all these things. And I get it. I can appreciate that. But having 3 of us who have watched a lot of cartoons now at this point sit down and kind of dissect this in the way that we're doing, like, there are a lot of flaws. And I think that my hope and my expectation is that in some of these later 63-something episodes, maybe they get better about this. But right now, after a movie and some shorts leading into a pilot episode, it's just not hitting it for me right now. Jason.
I want to talk about what I think is the biggest plot hole in this amazingly well-written show, right?
Was it in the pants?
It was related to the pants. Oh. So I am willing to accept that Jimmy Neutron is smart enough to somehow install a microchip in his pants, nanochip,
how dare you,
that makes them fold themselves.
Sure.
Totally on board. I'm willing to accept that premise. What I'm not willing to accept is that without installing nanochips in all the other pants, that his pants can take over the entire world of pants, right? Like there is no electronics in those pants with which his pants can interact.
Oh, you mean chips? You mean the spicy ranch kind? I love those.
Damn it, Ms. Fowl.
Stop it with that joke.
So
Also,
much stupid chip humor.
you only hit that joke twice with Carl and with Mrs. Fowl. You fucked it up again for a third time, friend.
Awful. I will say with Carl, I love the fact that he like challenged Jimmy, like, hey, just pick up your pants. And then he was like, it's actually kind of fun. I've got this whole song about how I love folding and hanging clothes. And it was like, all right, that's not funny, but I get more of your character now. Like, I get that you're kind of a neat Nick and you like, to do things a certain way, and maybe you're not like the most popular kid, but I get it. I get something about his character. What bothers me is that you have multiple characters coming up to Jimmy throughout the course of this episode and being like, maybe, I don't know, maybe try doing this instead, or please don't do this because it upsets me, or because you're disrupting the class, or because you're really pissing me off. And he doesn't care. He just goes full steam ahead and just does his own thing. He's kind of a little a-hole. His dad tried to interact with him. His mom tried to be an authoritarian. They're not great parents, but they're trying to do their own way to like reach this little serial killer in training, and it's not working. Go ahead.
I want to bring up the dialogue that I actually did enjoy was in the exchange with his awful mother, where she grounds him and says he can't go to the movie, and he goes, "Mom, but it's the new science fiction kung fu action buddy comedy sequel from last summer's box office smash based on the old TV show that we've never heard of." And I was like, that was some fast, smart dialogue.
Yeah.
That I was like, I enjoyed that. Like, I had to watch that scene a couple times to be able to actually like write all of it down.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's a lot of interesting things that you packed into a short sentence. Like, kudos to you. That was a decent line, but then it's dropped. It's never referenced again. We don't even know what the title of the movie is.
Right. And there's some stuff in there like that it's like fun, kind of referential humor, performances by Rob Paulson and the rest of the cast.
Right.
They do a decent job of trying to elevate some of this stuff, but it's just kind of like, you sit and you think about it and you're like, that's not really funny. It's kind of like a humorous observation sometimes, or like, oh, that's a weird thing to say, or that's a weird choice to make, but it's not really funny. Did you guys like, it sounds like you liked Sheen and his action figure, though. That was a weird little like side plot. Did you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. So Sheen Estevez has this action figure that he has, and the fun thing is that he shows up at school the next day, and he's like, "Do you know what makes this day better than any other day?" And I love that, because storytelling wise, that's actually what you want. You want a day that is unique and it is to that character and is something that is exciting. And that's why I liked him. And so he has this Ultra Lord number 3, and it's special because it has a factory gender error. And when he presses the button, it says, it's this like beefy looking ultra like kind of robot character,
robot dude. Yeah.
And it just says, and in a very female voice, it says, "Should I wear this dress to the prom?" And I was like, okay, that's fun. Like, I like that.
Funny.
I like that. And they did that, I think, 3 times. And every time they did it, I was like, I'm enjoying what I'm hearing. This is a fun character that has a deal. Nobody else has a deal in this show, except for, I feel like, Sheen.
Did you like that one, or did you just like to talk about his underpants earlier?
Well, so the more I've been thinking about this underpants thing, the more disturbed I am.
Yeah.
Only because I'm a mandated reporter, guys, and the only reason that we are aware that Sheen is wearing Ultralord underpants is because Jimmy's pants take them over and then strip them off his friends.
Yeah. Sheen,
yeah,
Carl, and Cindy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all these like,
and Cindy multiple times asks for him not to mess with her pants. And like, in the current climate, I feel like he should be a little bit more aware.
That whole scene was really, you took the words right out of my mouth. That whole
took the pants right off your body.
Yep. Took the pants right off my stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable scenario to watch now with the current climate that we're living in.
And just being dudes in their 30s.
And the idea of just taking pants off kids and then just having kids run around in their underwear
And
all the
thinking
time.
it's
Like,
funny.
It's cute. It's cute when they're like
little
learning
kids,
to
yeah.
walk and like they're under 2, but like, you know, you get above that age and you're just like, all right, you know, maybe pants are mandatory now.
Yeah, but I mean, like the kids watching this show, you know, younger kids, maybe 6, 7 years old, that's probably pretty funny for them because it's like, haha, nobody has any pants on. That's funny. There's nothing like beyond that they're thinking like, oh, this is inappropriate. No, I'm pretty sure little lawyer kids aren't aren't really signing up at home to make sure that somebody pays the price for this. No. However, what was weirder to me was when the dad was just like, oh, this is the new fad that the kids have today, so I'm just going to go out and mow the lawn in my underwear. I'm like, perhaps this was taken a bit too far there, writers. It was creepy enough with the kids, pushing it with the dad.
So let me jump in. Have we all agreed that we're gonna move forward in this episode a little bit?
Yeah, I don't need to revisit the whole pants plot. I kind of like some of the things that popped up, some of the references and stuff. But yeah.
So I want to talk about what you just mentioned, which is the moment that the mom and the dad are at home and they encounter Sheen, Jimmy, and Carl wearing no pants. Now you get an establishing shot inside the house of the mom and the dad is feeding the mom sushi. Now these kids are at school. We don't really know what their job is. They are in the process of having this like weird romantic sushi date at home, where then the dad is like completely ruining it by he's like, this is a sliced cut of fish and like you better eat this quick, otherwise the bacteria is gonna get on it and it's gonna destroy. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, to me, I was like, this is now like creepy level, especially. This was off-putting to me. I'm sorry. I know everybody who is in a relationship, hopefully a healthy relationship with a significant other. I know that it's common to come up with like little nicknames for your significant other. I appreciate that. I'm sorry though. Sugar Booger as your pet name, real fucking turn off.
It's slightly better than like Sushi Booger, I guess, but not much.
But like he called her this twice, and the first time I was like, please let that be a mistake. And the second time I was like, God damn it.
And it's still not even a rule of 3. Didn't
still
even
not
get that right.
But I will say the dad comes up with this whole thing where he's immediately accepting about this and then goes off into this own diatribe, which is not helpful parenting to just talk about a story from when you were a child, because he references these bell-bottom muumuus that he was wearing. And I was like, I don't think that you can have. I don't think you understand what a bell bottom is, and B, I don't think you understand what a muumuu is.
I kind of want to see it. I think it's like a weird one piece, one size fits all, catch all fabric.
It's basically if you put Dave in one leg of a Jenko jean.
Yep,
that's a bell bottom muumuu.
That's a bell bottom muumuu.
Bell bottom muumuu, guys.
Nailed it.
I feel like they repeatedly attempted to slip in jokes that they thought were gonna land with the adults.
Yes.
You know, like, and those are the kid cartoon shows that I like, because I feel like every time I watch them, I pick something else up that is a reference I wouldn't have understood. Every single one of their attempts at this just failed. It like fell completely flat.
Well, like here's
Shrek, this
one.
is not.
Yeah, here's a specific one, right? And it was just like the delivery of it. So they have all these pants. The rogue pants have kind of corrupted all the other pants around them. They're going to the House of Blue Pants. Why is that a pun? Why is that even there? It makes zero sense. House of Blue Pants, where there's a million pants, and the rogue pants are going to take them over and basically take over the world, right? So you've got all these pants now, like running around the city and attacking people. There's a scene where it literally looks like the pants are out like a flock of birds, and they're just like attacking. So it's like, okay, if you are familiar with Hitchcock's The Birds or any of those scenes or still images, you're like, okay, I get that homage. Especially because they talked about like horror movies earlier in the show. It's not a great one-to-one, but it's fine. The fact that the mom is just like, oh, look outside. It looks like an homage to Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. The fact that you had to be like that on the nose with it and actually like say it out loud, it just sucks any of the comedy out of it. Kids aren't going to know what you're talking about, and adults are going to be like, yeah, that was the joke.
Yeah, there it is. I just saw it.
Thanks.
That was like, it's not a funny joke.
No, it wasn't funny, but
I'll actually say
to it, and it's worse now.
I will say, because it wasn't a one-to-one comparison to what The Birds was, that I appreciated them referencing the fact that they were trying to be a homage to Hitchcock, because it was so badly done.
Bad. I guess I could see that. Look, before we wrap this up here, I want you guys to think of something that you actually enjoyed from this episode before we get to our recommendations. For me, I did enjoy seeing Jimmy kind of make these wacky inventions, the ones that had nothing to do with the trouble in the show. I like that he had a jetpack backpack that didn't quite work, but it got the job done. I like that he had a gun that was like a pants homing clothespin missiles. I thought that was kind of cute. So it's like clothespin missiles take the pants out of the equation. And then I like that he ransacked a local laundromat to make this other walker that shot like fabric softener and used irons to like
Starch.
steam, and starch and irons to literally like steam the or press the pants into submission. Like that kind of stuff was fun. But the rest of it was crap.
I appreciated the laundry-based humor more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Like the fact that fabric softener made all the pants just fall to the ground.
And it made Sheen weirdly like wobble while he was walking. He's like, this stuff works real well.
His eventual way of defeating the sort of like pants creature was he had to go to an entire like rug store
Next to
and
the
then
cheese
just
store.
rubbed the feet of his amazing robot on it to build up static electricity. I love that was the way that it was defeated.
The fact that it had like a little hand on like an accordion extender that like had to reach way out and touch the pants. Like that stuff was funny. Go ahead.
I really enjoyed the moment where the pants, like the main Jimmy's pant has locked itself in the house of the blue pants.
Yeah.
And put like a bar in the door so that nobody could get in there, and then sort of like Disney's Fantasia style began to conduct the other pants.
Right.
And keeping in the tone of just how highly inappropriate this show is, there's a moment where it looks like Jimmy's pant has its pocket out and is sort of conducting everything.
Yep.
And I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating, and I think Dave is shaking his head. He's going to confirm this with me. It straight up looks like a dick.
Yeah.
It looks like a penis coming out of Jimmy's pant that is conducting and waving up. So it looks like he's conducting an orchestra of pants with a dick.
With an erect dick.
With an erect dick.
Not a family-friendly episode.
It is so awkward. But again, it's like Jimmy doesn't give a fuck about any of these people. No. So it's in tone with whatever's there. And this whole show just seems inappropriate to watch. So it's just like, it just seems like it's a final fuck you. Like if the Disney artist that had put like the purple penis on the cover of The Little Mermaid had like snuck in a dick there and be like, this 100% makes sense. He's like, I rendered this dick in Maya software. I'm gonna run it through a light wave. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a real smooth curved dick in here like the rest of these. What kind of vegetable can I make this dick look like? I would have been like, this 100% is in tone with what this fucking show is.
Let's pull him back. Go ahead, Woods.
I don't know how to follow that one up. You got really into that, Sean.
You really did.
No, I think every movie, cartoon, public statement, anything available for public consumption should have to go through a panel of early teenage boys, and with the question of, does anything in here look like a dick?
Yeah.
Right? Just like, did this make you giggle? Then we've got to revise it.
Yeah. 100%. No, I think that's like if we ever do an animated thing that's supposed to not be full of cartoon dicks, we're going to have to run it through that panel.
Yeah.
And if they don't laugh, then it's good because it's not for them. And
then we're good. I mean, unless you're intending to put cartoon dicks in there. But
exactly.
I think of the three of us, the only one that's really excited about them is Sean.
Sean's super excited. Turns out that dick was actually a pocket, by the way, like a pocket turned inside out. Because I saw that and I was like, what the fuck? And then the rest of the pants, when they came off the shelves, they had their little pockets out and they were like little wings kind of flapping around. So
it's so weird.
They saved it, but not great.
I mean,
guys.
just because and again, just to like, if people are just like, oh, didn't you see the other pocket? Yeah, of course I saw the other pocket, but the way that they frame the shot, they have it down in the bottom third of the frame, and they only have one pocket that's shown on that, and so it's a pair of pants down in in a close up in a forefront shot that's just only one pocket shown, waving this pocket dick back and forth, and it's fucking awkward. I don't want to watch your jean pocket dick wave on other pocket dicks.
I guarantee the line producer was looking at the whatever they call them, the primaries for the animation. They were like, kind of looks like a dick. They're like, I mean, I guess. Well, I didn't mean to.
We don't need to redo this.
Like, how much would it be to redo the whole thing? I don't know, probably $30,000-$40,000. Nah, fuck it. Go ahead. We're on a schedule and a budget.
God damn.
Have you seen the movie? It's terrible. Let's just keep going. All right. Anything else worth saving from this show before we wrap it up? Go to recommendations tonight.
I'm good.
You good? Woodsy, do you have anything else?
Unredeemable.
Wow.
All right, let's hold up.
Yeah,
Jason.
Jesus, hey.
Before we give what Jason, we've already got some foreshadowing in terms of how Woods feels on this. But guys, as it turns out, everybody on the internet, hey, what's up? You guys have opinions about this. And so to be able to honor this, we're going to turn this over to longtime listener and friend of the show, Bobby Anthem, for this week's Love It or Hate It. Bobby, take it away, sir.
This week, our Love It comes to us from Larry the Editor, written on July 30th, 2003. The review is titled, The Best Animated TV Series I've Seen in a While. Larry said, Jimmy Neutron, both the feature film and the series, are both some of the most entertaining CGI work I've seen in quite a while. Many people overexamine and are unable to appreciate it simply for what it is, a kid's show. Being a child of the 80s, I grew up on Saturday morning cartoons, and this show, to me, is reminiscent of those times. I've read that some say it's simple and boring, and it's really a shame because those people are truly missing out on a great show. The plots are original, the characters and dialogue are very humorous, and the scenery is incredible. There's some adult humor thrown in occasionally just to make sure the adults are paying attention. Who could ask for more? Also, one must take into consideration all the hard work that goes into making a CGI animation series. You have writers, designers, animators, shaders, storyboarders, modelers. Forgive me if I left anyone out. And countless others busting their butts to crank out 2 new 11-minute shorts each week. So, again, don't overanalyze it. Just enjoy it for what it is. Kid stuff. And our Hated was rated 1 out of 10 from Scotty's Forever on March 9th, 2008 in a post titled Yuck. It says, this is the worst cartoon show ever. It's stupid and pointless, it isn't funny, and it's also boring. For starters, it's about a boy genius who invents various things. The idea of the show is okay, but it just doesn't have a spark, no life. It just comes up flat. It also has stupid things in the show like evil pants and man-eating lima beans. I also don't like the fact that a 10-year-old boy can solve all the town's problems, and I also don't like the fact that a genius would hang out with such dim-witted friends. They should have just stuck with the movie. But if you are in the mood for a show about a boy genius, watch Dexter's Laboratory instead of this turd. 1 out of 10 stars. Simply yuck.
Perfect. That was perfect. Thank you, Bobby. Oh man. These just get to be more and more choice as we progress through New Year's Nicktoons.
Bobby's killing it. Nicktoons are getting worse.
These are getting-
worse.
they're getting
Some I don't know what's
bad.
going on here. But before we give our final recommendations here, hey, just want to say thanks again to Jason Woods coming out for this show tonight.
Yes.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for coming back.
Happy to be here anytime.
We got to get you on like a show that you actually enjoyed watching. I don't know that
Hey,
you've had
listen,
one
my
yet.
last time around, we talked about Beetlejuice, which has a special place in my heart.
Okay,
so,
fair enough. Now we'll talk about recommendations. So we're going to go to you. And as a reminder, you can recommend this show. You cannot recommend this show. And if you don't recommend it, you can also sign it up for the dip, which means it is erased from all existence and for all time. So what say you?
I would love to see this show get the dip. I would like to see Jimmy Neutron's face
Jesus
get
Christ.
melted, very similar to the villain from Roger Rabbit. Like, it is awful.
You literally, like, just not even the show, just like straight up murder Jimmy Neutron. Melt that cartoon character down.
Absolutely. Listen, you want to have a spinoff with the functioning characters from this show who are not sociopaths? I'd probably watch it.
Fair enough. Harsh words from guest Jason Woods. Sean, what about you, bud? Recommend
Guys,
it? Not? Does it get the dip?
I always want to throw this out there. We're doing this all based on the one episode that we watched tonight. So if you are upset about this decision that I'm about to deliver, I would recommend that what you do is recommend an episode for us to watch. I am not going to recommend the show, and I am also going to give it the dip.
Holy shit, it doesn't matter what I say because it's been dipped. It's a majority rules, ladies and gents.
I want to say as a quick aside, I had been thinking at the beginning of this, I was like, I'm not going to recommend this show,
Right.
but I want Jason and Dave to give me a reason to save it from the dip. And I just don't think I got it. I just don't think I got it based on this one episode. So if you have another episode that you're like, guys, watch this one, there might be a way for you to redeem Jimmy Neutron in the future on this show, on this podcast.
We haven't done, we were going to give a one golden ticket or whatever we were going to call it for everything we dipped in 2017. We haven't done that yet. So maybe we should do that soon. But we're going to keep a tally of everything that's been dipped in 2018.
Yeah.
We're starting off already with like the third or fourth episode, whatever we're on. I'm not going to recommend it. I don't viscerally hate this show, though. I didn't enjoy it. I don't particularly like it. I don't really want to go back and watch more episodes, but I don't think I'm going to dip it. Now, it doesn't matter. It's dipped because you two guys decided to dip it. But for me, I think there could be something worth watching there. I like the idea of this kid who's kind of a super inventive genius kind of thing. I just really don't like that character, man. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I guess it's good that it's already dipped, so I don't have to actually make a decision. I can just sit
Dave,
back and
this is such a fucking cop-out. You hated on this show the whole episode, and then Sean, we finally won him over to the side, and you were like, well, actually, maybe I'll be the good cop.
Nah, dip it.
Yeah.
Dip it.
Victory!
There's nothing good. Like,
No, it's terrible.
the premise was already done before. It was called Dexter's Laboratory. The animation has been done better since and was honestly done better before, in my opinion. Yeah. The characters, there's nobody that I haven't seen before, and there's nothing particularly, worth saving about the main character. Yeah, dip it.
Sounds like you just dipped it. Yeah,
Dipped.
there we go.
It's gone.
Dipped.
Never to be talked about again unless he comes back
Woo.
as Jimmy Neutron serial killer, which we will keep an eye on that one. In the meantime, Woodsy, brother, man of the people, dipper extraordinaire, what's going on with you in your real life? And if you would like to, where can the folks reach you on social media?
Yeah, I mean, if you happen to want to take a complete left turn from this podcast and hear about pediatric emergency medicine, and then also watch me rant about vaccines, you can find me on Twitter at JWoodsMD, and I also have my own podcast called Little Big Med.
Excellent. And we will have those links up on our page as well. But Sean, bud, what's going on with you?
Guys, as always, I perform live improv comedy in Washington, D.C. with a group that is called Knox. That's N-O-X exclamation point. We perform with Washington Improv Theater. You can find tickets and time witdc.org, and I am on Instagram and Twitter at Sean Paul Ellis.
And I'm on Twitter at Dr. Claw MD. You can also find me on Collider.com, Nerdist.com, and DaveTrumbore.com. If you want to find out more about this little show right here, which has nothing to do with pediatric medicine or vaccines, and lots to do with phrenology, you can head on over to SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also follow us on Twitter at MorningToons. Check out Sean's handiwork on our Instagram page. Keep that conversation going on Facebook. And listen to our free audio podcast each and every week through YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. As always, be awesome. Drop us an iTunes review and send us an email, SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. Hey, buddy, what else we got going on?
I was going to say also, if we don't know what you're listening to this on right now, we're just thankful that you're listening.
Yeah.
It could be iTunes, it could be Stitcher, it could be any of the hundreds of podcast apps that are out there. But you, yes, you, listening to us on YouTube, do me a favor, continue to leave us your wonderful comments because we are going to start reading them on this show. You savage, fucking brutal beasts. We are going to read your garbage that you put on YouTube on this show because you know what? Because it makes us laugh so much.
We love it.
Thank you.
We love it. We would, I'd extra love it if our 600 plus subscribers, maybe 700 by the time you're listening to this, could throw us a thumbs up every once in a while if you actually like what you're listening to, because we're getting hammered out there in the thumbs department.
Guys, also, FYI, it's in our title that this is a podcast. Also, who was the idiot who clicked on Fancast number 2, The Squeakquel, expecting to watch Alvin and the Chipmunks? You dum-dum.
I think they wanted to watch Bob Ross, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough. Sorry I tricked you into Bob Ross loving. Hey, guess what? If you don't hate us and you're still listening to the show and you want to check out an awesome webcomic that we put together here at Saturday Morning Cartoons, you can also check out Death Junior Comics. That's deathjrcomics.com. They'll be running all month in January with a new comic every weekday, so you can check those out. And also check out the artwork of our friend and former guest of the show, Alex Kazanis. Almost called him a former friend. That would have been rough.
You can find Alex on Twitter and Instagram at @dude!!
We got a lot going on, guys. But if you have any questions, need any follow-up on that, again, head to Saturday Morning Cartoons and check that all out. So thank you guys once again for listening, and we will be back next week with yet another New Year's Nicktoon. Thanks for listening.
Hey, everybody.